Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio commentary here on this Wednesday. It's February 1st. It is the birthday month, baby. Celebration begins. And we celebrate by bringing on the great Rick Bozich from WDRB.com, the Hall of Famer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, doing well. Had a late night last night, obviously watching Indiana and also Kentucky Ole Miss. And tonight I'll be at the battle for 14th place in the KFC Yum Center as Georgia Tech against Louisville.
The battle of the bottom.
Are they passing out sleeping masks for the game? Is that going to be the not the fundraiser, but the prize for coming to the game?
It'll be interesting to see what kind of crowd shows up. I'm not sure what the weather forecast is going to be, but luckily it's a 7 o'clock game. The crowds have actually been fairly consistent in the 8 to 9, 10,000 range. But now that we get towards the end of the year, the interesting thing about Louisville, and I know we don't want to talk about Louisville the whole time, but they did add a player last week from Africa, and he finally got in the game against Notre Dame and did a few things. So, we'll see what kind of player he is over the last half of the ACC season. But yes, be a little bit different game than the game you all watched last night.
Yeah, Louisville or Indiana traveled to Maryland, which is kind of a Bermuda Triangle for most teams. Maryland can't win a game on the road if you pay them, but they couldn't lose at home. They can't lose at home, it seems. They've lost one time, and that was to UCLA. Indiana, the latest victim, as they go there, only score 55 points, which you're not going to win any game scoring 55 points. Even maybe if you play Wisconsin, you got a shot. But they just they were successful at shutting Indiana down. Other than Trace Jackson Davis, it's like they just, all right, you can have yours, but we're going to shut everybody else down, and they did.
Yeah, a couple things stood out to me about that game. One is they played sort of a soft press where their intention was to disrupt Indiana's offense and kind of make them slow to get it started. And Indiana played right into their hands. There were a couple of times they sort of attacked the press, and once they got across midcourt, they tried to score quickly, and they were successful, I think on half of those attempts. But on too many times, it's like they're just content to get the ball across half court and then start the offense, with less than 20 seconds to go on the shot clock, and didn't really get a good shot. Second thing I'd say is, and I need to check the numbers to see if this is accurate, but it sure seems like, if you just compare Big Ten home games and road games, that Indiana has a number of players that are much more comfortable and much more effective shooting the ball at home than they are on the road. They go on the road and they just don't look confident, offensively. And the third thing was Jalen Hood-Schifino just had his worst game. At one point, I know he was like 0 for 8 with 4 turnovers. I think he finished, 1 for 14 with 4 turnovers. I admire his confidence to keep shooting, but at some point, you have to try something different. And nobody else stepped up to help him. And, and as we've talked about before, I'm also not a fan of Race Thompson getting as many minutes, because I think when he's in the game, his presence in the lane gives the other team another player to double Trace Jackson Davis with, and he's not as effective. So that's my takeaway from that game.
I agree.
And I saw this pretty frequently on social media last night. He does not, and I don't know if this is still coming back from the injury, he just doesn't look like the same player. Like I don't even know if I know how to describe it, but there was a time in that game when he had 3 guys around him, pump faked, got his shot blocked, and he just stopped. He looked back to see where he was shocked that his shot got blocked. I don't know if there's something mentally going wrong there, but I agree with you. Him getting as many minutes as he is, I don't know. I don't want to say it's going to be a problem moving forward, but I think there's some concern there.
Yeah, and he took that 3-point shot. I know that Woodson encouraged him to do it, but if you subtract the Arizona game where he was 4 for 7, in the rest of the games he's 4 for 25 shooting threes. All right, that's enough of a sample size that tells me don't be shooting threes.
Right.
I mean, they want you to shoot threes. They don't look like good shots. And for whatever
took
reason,
one the other night in the home game at the beginning of the shot clock.
it's ridiculous. It really is. And I guess Woodson doesn't want to discourage guys from shooting, but at some point you have to be rational about it and say, do you want a guy shooting less than 20%, taking, 1.5 threes a game? I don't think you do.
Yeah, they've got to stay the same as that they've been. Chris points out Galloway only took 4 shots. That's a guy that's got to continue to look for his shooting because he's been successful. His confidence is up there, but I think he gets dissuaded by the other guys taking those shots that they're taking. And
right.
We talk about people like Miller Kopp who needs to take more shots, Trey Galloway that needs to take more shots instead of Race Thompson shooting from the damn 3-point line. I've never understood that. And the other night at home, like I said, they come down, they literally come down the floor, and he gets the ball and pops a 3-pointer. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're just in the beginning of the rotation, and of course he missed it. And
it's obvious that it's okay. I mean, it's obvious that Woodson's okay with it. He's encouraging it, and he's fine with it. I mean, especially when you see that, when you see a guy taking a 3 in before there's 20 seconds left on the shot clock, it's obvious that the coaches encourage him to do that, and he believes he can do it, and that's fine to be supportive of your players, but you also have to balance that against what are your eyes telling you, and your eyes are telling you that he's not a good 3-point shooter, and that the other team knows he's not a good 3-point shooter, and they're happy to let him take threes. And I agree with you. There was late in the first half. There was a play underneath the basket where he was surrounded by 3 guys, and he kind of went up. He's not 100%. There's no way he could be, considering what that injury was. He's still wearing the sleeve, and he doesn't have the lift that he had before. And so, when you get against guys who are athletic or more athletic or longer than he is, he doesn't have the lift to score around the basket.
So what do they do in what should we do, or should Indiana do? That's the question, because they weren't
Geronimo to be healthy.
Yeah.
Caleb Banks has shown, and Caleb Banks is not Race Thompson, but the play of Caleb Banks here of late, he has taken advantage of his minutes. He's really, really played his ass off, played hard. I'd love to see him in there.
He's not strong, though, or physical enough to play in the next 2 games, which are against Purdue and Rutgers. I mean, he's just not. He's got a slender frame, so not sure if Geronimo will be ready or not. He must have had high ankle sprain or something. That's why he's in a boot. He's got to have some kind of. It's not surgery, so it has to be an ankle type thing. Maybe he'll be ready. There was some hints he might play yesterday. He didn't even warm up, I guess. But you just gotta get Renew to play at some point too, and not foul so much. I mean, it's at some point he needs to sort of process the idea that you can't be so handsy on defense, and you can't foul. Did he foul out last night and played less than 15 minutes? Whatever it was, I don't know. It wasn't many minutes.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. Let's see. I'll have to look that up. Probably wouldn't surprise me. He usually does. It picks those up. That's going to be a key Saturday against Purdue, and playing against their lineup. They're going to definitely draw a lot of fouls. Zach Edey is going to be a foul drawing machine.
But this is what's going to be really interesting to me, because I think if I'm Indiana and I have Trace Jackson Davis, they can get Zach Edey into foul trouble. Now a lot of things. How
are you going to do that when he doesn't foul? He doesn't.
They don't
he's
call
not
fouls on him.
They don't call fouls on him.
Time out.
Renew had 5 fouls in 13 minutes.
So this would be my argument. The Zach Edey thing. A lot of teams, when they are playing him, they turn into jump shooting teams. So there's not really that chance for him to pick up those fouls. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't foul. It's crazy to look at his numbers, but I think Indiana's going to be more aggressive around the rim, and therefore he's going to pick up more fouls. I don't know whether he's going to get 3 or 4 fouls. I just think that the opportunity is there, because Indiana's not going to rely on its jump shooting, in my opinion. If they're smart, they wouldn't rely on their jump shooting in that game. Try to attack him and see if you can get some fouls on him.
Well, I will say this.
Zach Edey has not had more than 3 fouls in a Big Ten game all season. And in his last 5 games, he's had 7 total fouls. He had 2 games, Minnesota, and he played 37 minutes against Michigan State, and didn't foul.
Wow.
So,
that's he's going to end up setting a statistical record at the end of the season for most minutes and least fouls called on him. Trace Jackson Davis is going to have to take the ball to Zach Edey.
Yes, he is.
That's what I'm saying.
He's going to have to take it right to him and try to change that. And because Zach Edey is going to draw that assignment.
Remember what happened last year, though, when they played in Assembly Hall? It was Trace Jackson Davis that got in foul trouble and was out of the game after, I think, 3 minutes, right, in the first half. Right. And Michael Durr was the guy who played. And he's not there this year. And if you thought maybe Logan Duncombe, this would be the perfect game for Logan Duncombe because of his size, but, you know, he's hurt. He's hurt,
not played, not gotten any minutes.
Really, there's no way you can really trust putting him in. He's never played in any high.
Well, and he wasn't even dressed for the last game.
Right. Yeah, he's been out now, 3 or 4 games. So
I
don't know.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fascinating defensive decision that Mike Woodson's going to have to make.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to put Trace on him or Race Jackson or Race Thompson? That's a question. Who's going to guard Zach Edey?
Multiple guys.
Well, I mean, it's going to take more than one. But I mean, someone's going to draw the assignment.
They can't allow Trace to get too many fouls, and otherwise they're cooked.
And that's why Race Thompson will most likely draw the assignment. I would imagine.
Right.
Yep, but is Race quick enough to keep up with him right now?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, Jackson Davis is just going to have to play like a Player of the Year candidate. He is. I mean, this game's going to be hyped up as it is. Isn't Dickie V doing the game?
Yes. Oh yeah, baby.
He's going
to get him on. He's going to get him back on the show again, and he's saving his voice.
Right.
He's not doing radio.
He can't afford to get in foul trouble. Plus, Rob Finnessy's not around. Remember last year, wasn't Rob Finnessy and Xavier Johnson?
He was the
Rob
hero.
Finnessy and Xavier Johnson and Michael Durr were the stars of the game, I think.
Well,
yeah.
One of the things that is going to be interesting too is Michigan. When the game was at Michigan State between Purdue and Michigan State, Tom Izzo basically, we'll let Zach Edey get whatever he wants, but we're not picking up fouls. We're not going to let the guards beat us from behind the 3-point line. It's going to be interesting if Indiana has that same sort of philosophy where if he can't just at times you got to let him score because it's better than picking up fouls in terms of the long run. It's going to be a fascinating matchup to me to see how this thing goes. And it'll probably be dictated in the first 5 to 8 minutes as to how the whistles are going would be my guess as to how they're going to play. But this is as good of a Player of the Year matchup as it could possibly be in the Big Ten. And I think I hope that the officials let them play a little bit on both ends because I want to see Trace and Zach Edey go head-to-head.
Well, they'd get the ultimate, and I don't even know who that would be, and if there is such a thing, the ultimate A crew from the Big Ten. This is the game, best game in the Big Ten this weekend.